Hello and welcome to Voices from the Park, our listening project, where we hear about the lives and thoughts of some of the wonderful people of the South Pennines Park. Today, we're listening to...
My name's Naz Kazmi. I've lived most of my life in Keighley. I educated in Keighley, grew up in Keighley. I'm a Keighley lass. It was a beautiful time in my life when I was growing up in Keighley. My parents, both of them, came from Pakistan, arrived in England in December 1969. Wow, what a change. First time I experienced snow. First time I experienced what winter was really like in England. Very vividly, I can still remember when I opened the door and all I saw outside was everything just coated white. And I just wanted to touch the snow, and every time I touched the snow, it just melted in my hand. The area that we lived in was predominantly white, working class families. My neighbours, I still remember them by name. They were just absolutely some lovely, lovely, lovely people. Because of the way we were brought up, our moral compass about respect, dignity, working together was very, very important. Those were very, very important aspects in my life, was to look after our neighbours. So it's part of our religion as well. I helped and they helped us. My father raised our aspirations and expectations. One thing I always remember about my dad, he used to say, there's something that is so important, is education. Have your education, because that is something that nobody will ever take away from you. So we came on an invitation. I still have my invitation. I've kept it to date. And I always look at his, his passport and the invitation letter that came with it. That's for my grandchildren to see, because I feel that they need to know where we came from and where we are today, and they have something to link themselves with. I graduated from University of Bradford with a BA honours, so I'm well proud of that. My father always used to say, fear none, just fear your God. Don't fear anybody, because they're just people like yourself. Challenge it, but do it in a peaceful way, as we have been taught. So CAWAC, I was on the board of CAWAC. I remember when I came back to one of my meetings, because they wanted to close this centre down, there was no reserves left. One of the board members turned around and says, Naz, do you know what? This place really suits you, because you're a people's person. And coming as an interim, it's been 13 years now that I'm no longer an interim manager. I'm now executive officer for the organisation, which was a beautiful journey within the 13 years. I always said that if I ever come into a position where I'm able to make a difference in somebody's life, I will do my best to be able to get them into a journey like my journey. It aspires them that I came from very similar background as themselves, whether it was mental health, whether I was a mother or whether I was a wife, but coming from a Pakistani home, having the same faith, I became something. So this is why I help women on their journeys to be successful. And even through COVID, this centre was open. It was a safe haven. We do a lot of gardening. So we encourage people to diversify, looking into ecology and protecting the environment, recycling. We do lots of gardening programs where women grow their own herbs. We also encourage young people, to grow their own things, getting them involved and loving nature. We've got Victoria Park here, and also we've got Cliff Castle Park. So we work in partnership with Cliff Castle Park. We did park run. And we use it for walking as well, and I think it's such a beautiful space. I think once you're out in the open air and the fresh air and you see the greeneries, it makes you feel good, and people talk. You see nature, you see squirrels running around, and you see the trees first with the leaves on, and the trees fall. Autumn time, the changes of colour. We've done some arts and crafts in Cliff Castle. We've done some sketching. We've worked with artists. We've also done Tai Chi in the park, so that was a really nice experience. We love the green spaces. We've taken them out into the Dales where they've done the hike to Malham. It's about giving that opportunity. There's lots of people who can't afford to go out and about, so if we're encouraging them to engage in activities outside of Keighley, some people might be able to do it, but There's majority of the women depend on us to take them somewhere. Outdoors does something to people. It's like a catalyst. The open air, sitting under 2 TPO trees, just sitting and talking with a cup of tea, gets people together, gets them talking, gets them doing things. One will get up and she might start looking after the flowers, and the other one will start cleaning up. You know, it just starts to motivate you to do things. And then, you know, they'll say, oh, we grew some vegetables outside. And once the vegetables were sort of ready to be picked, then we picked the vegetables and we did a cook and eat session. So then they cooked the food and they enjoyed it. The food crisis, it's a massive, massive issue. Just recently, we've delivered over 300 food parcels to vulnerable families. Some of these families are now struggling, either loss of employment or generally struggling. We have women who are coming in who are talking about the extortionate increase in utilities, the increase in the prices, the inflation. Bradford Council are helping. They're doing their best to be able to provide something for some of these very, very vulnerable families. People were looking for food. What can you do? It's happening outside on our doorstep. Working with our Yorkshire Combined Authority Mayor to look at the safety of women. She did come to COAC, had a consultation. What I am very passionate about is social mobility and financial independence for women. To empower them to be able to make those choices for themselves and their daughters and their families, because you've got to think the importance of having something that is yours and you've earned it, it's yours. The majority of the ladies that I've had experience of working with, they want to become financially independent. So how do we make that happen? Our next phase would be to create a training centre where women would be able to come in and would work with our local businesses. We'd do ESOL with them, have that wraparound service for them to help them to overcome some of their barriers. If you've never worked in your life, you've never been in a workspace before, you don't know what employment is like, you don't know what policies and procedures are like. These ladies would get paid after they've dropped the kids off at school, and then they'll do about 5 to 6 hours a day. They will get into that habit of working, time management skills, confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. So all these things start to kick in once you become a little bit independent. So we've created that platform for them. They don't need to stay with us after that. They can stay with us for a short period of time, and then we'd like them to move on. They want to find something in Keighley. They want the opportunities to be in Keighley for them. Very local. It's with all the communities. That is one of the gaps. By the time they get to Bradford, by the time they've paid for the food, and even if they're in a car, it's by the time they pay their insurance, the mileage and everything, you know, is it worth going to Bradford and working there? So that is a massive barrier. We've seen that through our networks. We will have a peace corner outside in the forecourt of the organisation. It's going to be open and accessible for all the area to use. I want people to work with us. Come in as partners. We need partnership working. It's about opening your doors, opening your hearts to let people in, and let's enjoy it together.
Water, grit, blood and dirt, we're the proudest folk on earth. Pennines pulsing through